It was called Reverse Cowgirl. By the way, that's not a
I,
Western. And then he played the video in front of us, played the song in front of us, and then he looked at his manager, was like, "Yeah, I want to launch it," and he launched it. And he was like, "Holy crap! He just made like $5 million in like minutes."
what would you do if your website and automations broke during a product launch? Or you got stuck on a problem for weeks while building out your grand vision? Would you keep clicking and push through? Or quit, give up, and shut it all down? Welcome to Connect and Correct, where I not only take on the problems, but also tell the stories from inside the HighLevel community. Whether it's a broken funnel, a how-to on a new feature, or simply highlighting what works as a new agency owner, I'll work hard to give you the answers without any of the fluff. So pull up a chair, grab a drink, and tune in for some top-notch marketing know-how on this episode of Connect and Correct. All right, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Connect and Correct. We're actually going to be one of the Connect versions here of the podcast. This is actually our first interview episode with none other than Mr. Adrian Brambila. Adrian, thanks for coming on.
Hey, what's up? It's always good to talk to a friend.
Absolutely. And actually, this is you've been asking to get on this for a while, and I said no because you have a thing about podcasts. When I guess when you don't want to go on them, he told me I'm not going to go on until episode 50. And
It's true. I
yeah,
felt
so we actually did 48 episodes of another show where I did not let him on until number 50, and that show actually stopped at episode 49. So now we're
I
back here. It's
cursed it.
50.
Well, I'm glad we could make it happen. I think it was just one of my rules at pretty much my whole phase of my life. I've always last 3 years especially were like optimizing for time. And so like I actually have never done podcasts until this year. And I just felt like it's just like not time friendly. And also I feel like too many people you probably experienced too, like are DMing you every single day asking you to be on their podcast. And when you go and like check it out, it's like, dude, which podcast? Like, oh, I haven't started yet. You're gonna be episode one. Or like I'm like 3 episodes in. And to me, like I like why I say 50 is because like podcasting's a grind. And so
Dude.
50 tells me that you've at least made it a year about if you've done it once a week, or just about. So like that's how I know like you're serious about it. But I also said as a joke, we could have totally hopped on earlier.
I know, but I was holding you to your word. But yeah, so it's been and what's funny is now looking at it as being a content creator for probably the past now 4 years, I feel like podcasts, especially for short form clips, are probably one of the most efficient ways to make content. Where you could just sit
Definitely.
for an hour and you're probably going to get 50 clips.
How many clips are we gonna get from this so far?
I don't know how long do we feel like yapping. But all right, so I want to kind of dive into kind of the Adrian story because I'll be shocked that you have what almost 1 million people on TikTok. You just cracked 100,000 on Instagram, and you have 100,000 on YouTube. So you've got a really large audience. And there's people who I talked to, and I said I was having a conversation with you. I got a lot of, well, who's that? So I guess bring us back to the beginning. How did Adrian get into the internet marketing game? Was you're an affiliate marketer? You've written a couple of books. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Just kind of bring me back how you just got into this. Like, bring us here. What's the Adrian story?
Definitely. It's the most relevant part of the story that I've shared if I'm on stage or something is like I used to dance professionally for T-Pain. That was a random thing. I was not a dancer, didn't grow up dancing. When I was 18, I started watching YouTube videos that taught how to dance the robot, and that's literally how I learned. And the reason why I even went to YouTube to do it, I went to school at a super small college, University of Dubuque in Iowa, and my first semester when I went back to my dad immigrated here when he was 13. My mom was born super poor, both Mexican. They saved so much money, even to a deficit, so I could graduate debt free from college. So what did I do with that blessing? I first freshman year, I partied, I drank, and I was wasting all that like their life's work. And I didn't realize that until I went back home, and then my dad asked like, how's college? Like, are you working hard? And I lied. I was like, yeah, I'm working really hard. Of course, duh. Come on, man.
I'm
Why would
working
you?
hard on chasing girls.
Yeah, why would you even ask me that? Come on. And then on my flight back home, I felt so, or to college, I felt so guilty. I was like, I'm just gonna stop drinking and partying. That's what I did. And when you stop doing that in college, you realize, holy crap, you have so much time because we waste so much time drinking and partying. So that's when I was like, I need to find something to do. I'm in Iowa. There's not a lot to do, especially in the winter, except for drinking. So then I went to YouTube and I started learning all kinds of things, and dance was one of them. And after 2 years, T-Pain had an open call audition, which meant anyone in the world could submit a video and audition. So I did. And then I think it's God's miracle. I was a living room dancer. I'd only been dancing for 2 years, and I landed tour, full-time professional dancer for T-Pain.
That's insane. So wait, so 2 years. So you what, a junior in college when you got the call that said, "Hey, you're gonna be going on tour."
Yeah. Junior in
You,
college. I started my freshman year. The My school was so small, and I was after that I ended up being a pretty good student, and so my college let me do like it online and stuff when I was traveling, because it was in the middle of school, and the idea when I was like told my parents I'm going to be a pro dancer, my parents were like, no, you're not. You're going to stay in school. And I was like, crap. So then I'm so grateful I went to a small college, because they're like, yeah, of course we don't do this was like before online school's a thing. But they're like, you totally can do it online. And then I danced with tour. And then how that story is connected to making money online is because touring with T-Pain is awesome. Dancing was awesome. Uh, there was a moment where T-Pain released a song in front of us. It was called Reverse Cowgirl. By the way, that's not a
I,
Western.
I remember that song.
What? You did?
Dude, T-Pain, all right, I was a T-Pain fan in college. I loved his stuff. So the
Oh.
fact that I was like, oh, he danced for him. You were, well, I was probably the one drinking and partying while you were dancing at the time back then. I hadn't had the like, oh, let's kind of not party for a while bit.
That's so funny. Yeah, T-Pain, he he
Used to
released a
drop them on
song.
iTunes.
Yeah, on iTunes. Back then, it's only 99 cents to download. And then he played the video in front of us, played the song in front of us, and then he looked at his manager, was like, "Yeah, guys want to launch it?" And he launched it. And then, like, matter of minutes in their analytics on iTunes, you could see like 100,000 downloads, 500,000 downloads, and then after 10 minutes, it was like 5 million downloads. And I was like trying to like realize like what was happening. I was like, "Holy crap! He just made like $5 million in like minutes." And I could not fathom that kind of type of money, especially as a dancer. Although it was really cool, I was broke, and they took advantage of us a lot. The management team did. So it was like really cool experience, but broke the entire time. And then when that moment happened, I was like, dude, I gotta learn how to do
Do
that.
that.
You know, it's crazy.
I was almost a wolf of Wall Street. You show me a pay stub, I'll quit my job and work for you type
For
moment. Like,
real.
show me that.
And then
I Go ahead.
T-Pain, you know what he did after that? He didn't go back into the office and work. He got drunk, and it was like 10 a.m. And like all this is, it's just radically challenging what I thought success looks like, what I thought working hard looks like. It challenged my money beliefs on like something I inherited from my parents. And by the way, I don't think this is wrong, but I think it's incomplete. This idea. If I want to be rich, I have to work hard and I have to sacrifice. This is what my parents taught me. And most people, do you think that's accurate? Like every successful person has to work hard and sacrifice?
I do believe that because that is at least for some period of time, not forever, but there is definitely a rocky cutscene, as Alex Hormozy calls it. Like you have to work. Was it Gary Vee calls it eating shit for 2 years or however many years it takes. There is a period where you have to go through that, but I know it doesn't last.
Right. So my new book, Start Thinking Rich, comes out October 29th. And
Subtle plug there. Go buy
yeah,
it.
plug and it's all about money beliefs and psychology of money. And so this is one belief that I inherited from my parents. We all inherit these beliefs, or different types of beliefs from our parents, and they affect our way of thinking, and sometimes to a deficit. So, okay, I agree with that. However, what did T-Pain just do? He just launched a song. He makes music for a living. He made $5 million, and he then got drunk at 10 a.m. So I wasn't watching him work hard. I wasn't watching him make any type of sacrifice. I was watching him living his best life and having abundance and making money. So to me, this is why it challenged me, because I was like, wait, 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 wait. Like, what's happening here? Like, you're having fun and and you just made millions of dollars, and you're making art and music. And so this is where I think it's incomplete. Like, because T-Pain, he his original story is like he used to sell fish in a fish cart. He used to be called the Fish Man in Florida, and so like people, a lot of people don't know this story, but like he was super poor, and like and then dropped out of high school to
Yeah.
because he needed to make money to pay for his family stuff. So again, that was the part when he was working hard and grinding and sacrificing, and now. So the question is when does that not the point or the relationship that I want to associate with money? Because if you always have this belief that you got to work hard and sacrifice, then pain is always going to be associated with high incomes. And then it becomes you become detached from it. It's like, well, shoot, I'm working so hard and sacrificing right now for the income I make. The idea of making 10 times that money, oh my gosh, what do I have to sacrifice? A limb? Like what?
Oh, I see where you're going. Yeah, the
Yeah,
pain being
yeah,
proportional to the amount of money that you're going to make. I
right.
get what you're. Yeah, that I don't.
Now
That obviously is not true.
right. So then my I needed to adapt my money script because I remember the first time when I launched a couple years after that, I launched my very first product online, which is teaching people how to dance the robot. And it took
Hmm.
2.5 years, made $0. I think at 2 year point, I made 45 cents. And I was blindly believing this was one day going to work. And then a subscriber of mine said, Adrian, if you made an organized tutorial, because I was making all these like 5 minute long tutorials, I'd buy it from you for 25 bucks. So I made this hour-long tutorial, and that month I made $1,000, which was essentially my take-home pay at my minimum wage job at a call
Hmm.
center. And instead of feeling amazing, I felt guilty because I made $1,000 doing something I love, robot dancing. I did not really work hard or sacrifice. I didn't feel like it, even though it did take 2.5 years to make the money, but I was having fun the entire time. And I
Yeah.
made this money. And so that's when I like now I had to take on that belief of like working hard and sacrifice is not the entire formula. Work the grind was 2.5 years creating content, trying to figure out this online thing, but then I was having fun. And so that really challenged me. So I had to change my script. It's like, wait a second. And then the belief had I formed then I still have now is like the more value you create, the more money you will make. That so again, you can make that if you want to make that a painful experience, go ahead. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can make that a joyous one. And I think ever since I made it into a game, like making money online is like a fun game I play. And the more value I put, the more money I make. I think that like side hustling and making money online has never been stressful for me because I've adopted that. Where if I kept that money belief strategy beforehand where I need to work hard and sacrifice, I think it would be I wouldn't have as had a joyous experience being an entrepreneur, even through the lows, that I've experienced.
Hmm. All right, so I kind of want to drill down on that a little bit there too, because you said making money and side hustling's never really been stressful for you. I think a large part of that is you're probably one of the most frugal people I've probably met, especially given what you've made versus what you've spent. It's that's almost discipline and pain in itself because like I got so much, but I'm spending so little in terms of now. Because I met you about what 4 or 5 years, it's like 4 years ago now, right? It's been a long
Hey,
time.
it's
You
awesome.
were you were leveling up. You were right there at that breakout, but you were still living. I mean, dude, can you tell people you lived in a freaking van? Like, talk about because I think that's also what has been able for you to have low stresses. You always had low overhead.
That's true. I think this is something a positive thing I saw from my Mexican parents is like they were super frugal. They did things that I just thought were default. Like if you wanted to get ahead, again, because they were operating from that sacrifice standpoint and working hard standpoint. I saw them do this. For example, we did not eat out ever. Luckily, they cook amazing Mexican food.
Yeah.
Um, they also didn't buy clothes for like years at a time. And remember when we used to go shopping, it was like, oh my God. The last time we went shopping was like 5 years ago. I get new clothes. It's amazing.
The national
Um,
holiday.
so I watched these things. I thought it was default. So they were always really frugal. So then I saw them doing this. And I also just assumed, hey, like every dollar I make, I have to save it and I have to invest. And then actually I have to save it. I learned later how to invest. My parents really didn't invest. They were just really good savers. So I I have taken this to the extreme during the pandemic. My wife and I lived full time in a van. And then that was a super high income year, made $1.7 million, 95% of that invested. And that totally catapulted everything. Because there's a lot of high income earners. You and I were just talking about, we won't mention any names, but
Absolutely not.
ClickFunnels people that's I'm on inner circle stuff with, not official inner circle, just like life inner circle, like in Austin
Off
community,
the record type stuff.
off the record type stuff. And they, although having super high incomes, they're living a high income lifestyle. So, like no matter how much money you make, you have to be able to tame your desire and learn how to live with less. And so, like, I feel like minimalism is a really great thing to adopt, especially if you feel like you have spending habits. And so I took it to the extreme where I was living there. And the funny thing is, when I was living in the van with my wife, we actually that was more stuff than what we were used to because the prior 2 years we lived out of backpacks in Europe. So
Hey, you were nomads. I remember how you came across my page initially because we met through TikTok in high pandemic. You got stranded in Hawaii, I think. And I remember being like,
um,
man, he got lucky. Like, who's going to quarantine in Hawaii? You were staying in some place like on a beach. There was like a sheep field somewhere. And you're like, I just got to try to get home. But I'm like, but it could be stuck worse places in the world. Is that where you were when you got stuck? Like, what was the story there?
yeah, this was before van life. We just moved out of Ireland and we did not have a home. And we thought we were going to keep hopping around to places in Europe and then in the USA. And then we were in Hawaii with our next destination being Asia. And then pandemic hit. And that's when I started doing like like online webinars a little bit. I like teaching, like just starting out, like I created my first program was like Side Hustle Academy. And just like getting slowly starting like teaching this idea of teaching because I did enjoy it because I did it so long on my own kind of as a lone wolf, and then the only people that I ever taught were like close friends, were like, Adrian, like what are you doing? And then I saw my success was a lot of my friends were making money, and like I almost became like, yo, you got money problems, hit up Adrian, he'll help. And I always did help. But then in Hawaii, that's when we were like pandemic happened, and we were actually deciding to, like, we were going to stay in Hawaii, but then we hopped on a live stream uh the day before all flights got shut down, and it was the mayor of Honolulu, and all the comments in the live stream, because we were like, hey, should we stay, should we go, we were like, we're gonna stay. And then we watched all the live stream comments, and it was all the locals. They're like, we're gonna kill the tourists, we're gonna mug the tourists, we'll kill them, we'll hang them. Seriously, real comments. And like it was violent. And then that after that live stream ended, we went to go grab our routine like smoothie every day in the morning. It was like living that beautiful white life. And then a car screeches, and this ghetto ass van, and then the guy points straight at to us, is like, "Get off my island!"
Jeez,
And
dude.
then we booked a flight, and we hopped on a flight.
That day, you're gone.
We
Pack
were
check your
gone.
shit. Hold the smoothie. Let's just go. Get out of here.
And then the next day, all flights were canceled, and that was like the first official day of pandemic. And so, luckily, we were with my parents. It was probably the worst time in history not to own a home, to be honest. But I have a really great relationship with my parents. I hired them 5 years ago, and so we talk and work together. And it ended up being a. I know not a lot of people can say this. My pandemic experience was an amount of family time that would have never happened if it wasn't for it. I'm actually grateful for that, and I feel like that is a privileged thing to say because a lot of people had very opposite experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. It was it's funny you bring up the webinars because that was also one of my, a similar, almost T-Pain esque experience with you because I attended one of those, the Side Hustle Academy webinars. It's like, oh, let me go see what let me go see what he's selling. Right. I kind of went on it. And I remember, I think I DM'd you the next day and I was like, oh, you got like 4 or 5 sales. That's awesome. You did well. And he's like, you're like, oh, I did. And I was like, what is this? And that was my first experience with an evergreen webinar where I was like,
Oh, snap.
man, he didn't even do that. I thought you were live. I thought everything was there. And I was like, this is 100% the way of leverage now. Because in
Mm.
my head, being like pain and grinding and working hard and always being present, I was like, this mother effer is going live every night in Hawaii. Holy crap. And then you're like, nah, dude, that was all. I'm like, but what about all the comments and what about this? He's like, yeah, it's all huge. Like, you
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to work hard if you have the like put your heart into learning the right skills and the skills will pay you forever.
Yeah, so this is an interesting point in time of history of online marketing, affiliate marketing.
Mm-hmm.
when I hear stories of Gary V's original stories where he talks about when Google ads first came out and that
Mhm.
he could just set up an ad and for pennies, like rank and get any type of keyword, right? Pennies. And then how much money, like if I could just go back in time, like, dude, I'd be making seven figures a day, just like spending so much, spending
You knew
what
what you
not,
do now.
yeah, knowing what I know now. And like the auto webinar is right now we're in a transition time of history where like those are no longer. In fact, you actually can't do them anymore and the FTC is catching up right now. So now, if you are running an auto webinar and you do not say that and you pretend it's live, but it's actually not, and basically the FTC catches you, like you're at jeopardy of getting sued and taken down from the FTC. So that is
Oh, no
now,
way.
yeah, it's a bad move. It's not a taboo move. It's like it's literally written now in FTC laws that you cannot do fake auto webinars. So you have to
When did
run
that happen? I didn't hear this.
that happened in the last, I think, few months.
Oh, okay. Good thing
And
I don't
so
have one running right now.
yeah, like so my this before my wife became the CFO of my companies in her background, she worked at Deloitte for 8 years in audit. And before her, I was more like I feel like I was always honest, but I was always like on an auto webinar, I learned how to do an auto webinar from Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels because I was on his auto webinars and he never said, "Hey, this is actually not live." And I kind of knew it, but I was like, whatever. And so like I just thought that's okay to do. And then when my
Mm,
wife came on and she like because she's an auditor and we do everything by the book, no gray. So
100%.
so
That's what I like about you.
yeah, and actually, when we got to partner in the Brambila method, maybe you got to experience some of that. But at that time,
Mhm.
I don't know if she was full time yet. Was she? I can't.
I
Maybe
think she was.
she was. Okay, that
I
must have been like her
think.
first year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now we do everything by the book, and now like I don't do any auto webinars, and because like she's like we both keep in tab with like the FTC and like what they do, and like because like we just you just want to be it's like actually it's not just about being honest anymore. It's about actually like knowing the laws and rules. So for example, that one right there, I would just thought, hey, it's an auto webinar. It's just one of the tactics. One of the tactics.
It's just
Oh,
what you do.
yeah. That's not allowed anymore. So if and the people that
Okay.
do them, you're at risk. I just don't want to be at risk. Is like I'm doing this for fun. I don't do this to make like needing this income. I do it because I want to help people. And the last thing I want to do is like, oh my gosh, I have an auto webinar. I get sued for that because by
You
the
get shut
FTC.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be terrible.
Well, I guess we should clarify though. It's not that you can't have an auto webinar. You just have to disclose that you're not actually live on the other end of the camera. It's an encore presentation of something you did at some point.
Correct. But you also can't in this if you so another thing on that is
Okay.
so let's say you say, okay, I'm gonna do it right way. I'm going to have an auto webinar. I'm going to say this is a previous recording. Are you good? Nope. There's still more. Because what if in that recording you're like, and Dom, he just bought it. You only have 10 minutes left to get the sale before the price increases. And Adrian, he just bought like you can't do that either. Because then that creates that's all false because those things actually
Yes.
did not happen. So you can't give shout outs to real people and create the impression that that's there. Because there's just so this is the legal term. It's called a net impression. And this is where anything you're doing what's the net takeaway as the person that on the receiving end. And so if you're pretending that it's live and then you're calling out people and you have like this false scarcity, like even though you did say it's live, you're still doing things that make it feel even though if you did say it's a previous recording, you're still doing things that make it feel it's live, and then you're creating these false like urgency and scarcity tactics that aren't real because it's a recording. And then those people actually did not buy those shout outs that you're doing. So again, the net takeaway is actually it feels live and these are real people that you're calling out. So
Oh,
it's crazy. Net
that's wild.
net impression. So this is like the and testimonials is something I like. So I'm really right now I'm working on actually getting rid of like all my testimonials right now. Um I feel like I just realized I'm like the worst buzzkill of this interview. I'm like a buzzkill
Oh
podcaster.
no, I don't care. Here's the thing though. I like about you is you don't care if it's buzzkill or it's marketing or whatever. You're like, this is just what it is. All right. Like
So
this is how you have to play by the game. It's fine.
Here's something that is I'm failing at a net impression right now on old websites. The
Take him
Brambila
down right now,
method.
FTC.
The Brambila method has a testimonial from Morgan Rainey. She was the first person from the Brambila method that we created
Mm-hmm.
to earn $1 million.
Dang. It's
By the
awesome.
way, she's the only person. Okay. So if
Okay.
I have a millionaire, one person out of however many people that bought the class on my testimony on my website right now, and even though I say results not typical, because that's what it says right now,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. The net takeaway is that there's a millionaire who purchased
That
my
could be me too.
there's a millionaire who made seven figures from the Brambila method. And even though I have other testimonials, like the net takeaway is like because she's there, the net takeaway is that you could do it too. Even though if I say results not typical, disclaimer, she's the only person, then why would I have her there? So you can't use above and beyond 1% testimonials. You need to show testimonials that are the average.
Wow. So wait, so how do casinos get away with it when they got the person with the whole big bag of money? Like, I guess you're well, I haven't seen one of those in a while because I live up near outside Philadelphia and there's I think 3 casinos within like 30 minutes of me. So I see
Mm-hmm.
casino advertisements everywhere. And I'm also only an hour from Atlantic City, New Jersey. So like I'm like in casino ads central. And I
Right.
now that I think about it, I haven't seen the you could win big or this person won big in a long time.
Well, I think
The ads
it's,
now are just who's performing.
yeah, so I think gambling has its own regulation board. I don't know if it's the
Probably.
FTC, but I do know that right now, this year specifically, the FTC has made really huge waves on like trying to make this dirty industry that we're in clean. And I'm a fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like we always and but I'm a fan of it, but I'm also nervous because like even though I like to think of us as like the good guys, there's still like technicalities again, like what I just mentioned that I didn't know about it. And I didn't know about it until I read it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that means like I'm actually not like the FTC would use this against me saying that I'm creating a wrong net impression because I have one person made $1 million. Even though I say results not typical and all this stuff, the net takeaway is that someone could come on my website, check out the Brambila method, and say, "Oh my gosh, someone made $1 million. I could too," and that's not accurate.
No. So, all right, so let's kind of shift toward the Brambila method too. So, because I know that the story for those who may not know my part of the story is so we followed each other originally here on TikTok. And then all of a sudden I got a DM from you that goes, "Hey, give me a call. I have an idea." And it gave me your phone number. And I was like, that's kind of cool. What is this? I called you and we had a conversation over the phone where you were like, I want to create a new program and I want you to help me with it because I want to take down at the time was Legendary Marketer. It's like I don't like what their affiliates are doing. So let's kind of go and what made you because what made you choose me as your partner? And then why even reach out to a partner too? Because you from what I understood, and I was like, he knows everything that he's doing. So that was I'm eternally grateful you reached out to me. Don't get me wrong. But at the time I was like, what do I bring to this? What why me?
Mm. Yeah. So, TikTok created a lot of new ways of creating content. One of them was the duet feature. So
Mhm.
a video plays on the right or left, and then your video plays alongside it. And then TikTok, because of TikTok, also created the reaction videos. Um,
Stitch.
and the stitch videos. And so here's what was happening. I was really not teaching. I was living in the van, and I was just creating content on being an affiliate. And just as an affiliate alone, I would share, hey, I live in this van. I made $100,000 last month. I made $70,000 last month. And I live in this van, and it's all online, but I really wasn't promoting or pushing anything. I was just kind of documenting the story. And that's honestly what I can say. Since I started creating content in 2010, and I'm just a creator, I'm always going to document the story. Like right now, if you look at my Instagram, you won't see any business stuff. It's all travel. I'm just documenting the story. So I was just doing that. But because of duet features, Legendary Marketer was a very popular class, especially for TikTok
Yeah.
affiliate marketers and biz ops. And so they would take my video on the right hand side and then where I'd be like, hey, look, I made 7 figures, or I made 6 figures last month. And then there's someone that's pointing, and then they're pointing, and then they're saying, you want to be like this guy? You want to be like Adrian? Check the link in my bio. And then some people would check that link in the bio, and then it wasn't anything I created. It was Legendary Marketer. So they were using my videos promoting Legendary Marketer. And this started happening a lot, by the hundreds. Again, I was oblivious of it until I started getting comments of like, you're a scammer, Adrian. You scammed me. There's a difference in the language. You're a scammer. Okay. Like that could just be a troll. You scammed me. That's like, wait a second. Like I actually scammed you. Like, so when I get comments just because of like living in a van and making 6 figures a month or whatever, like that is a conflict of what people think about wealth. And so people saying you're a fraud, you're a scammer, like that to me is like troll. But then I started getting comments like, you scammed me, Adrian. Like you took 2,500 from me, and it was BS. I bought your $7 class and you scammed me. And I was like, what is everyone talking about? So then I learned like people were taking my very viral videos and then using that as an affiliate strategy to duet,
To
and then
sell
of course
something else.
to sell Legendary Marketer. And then the user thought that program was my program because they would see my face doing the content and the selling.
Oh,
And then I was like, dude, this is I was really pissed. I was really frustrated. The Legendary Marketer was allowing this to happen. And this is actually encouraging. This is how you actually promote Legendary Marketer. It's like take other people's content and then point it to the course. And by the way, Legendary Marketer is in progress getting sued by the FTC. So go ahead and Google it. They're in trouble because are we allowed to cuss here or no?
I sure, go ahead.
Dude,
I don't care.
they had so much debauchery and fuckery. Like they deserve to get fucked. Like I hate them. Anyway, sorry. So I was like, I need to create my own program, and I'm not gonna call it Financial Freedom Life and all this stuff. I'm gonna literally put my name on it. Brambila Method. I remember when I told you about it, you even questioned, like, dude, don't call it the Brambila Method. Because the Brambila Method, again, is not really a good name. But I was like, I actually didn't care about the course sales as much. I just wanted to protect my name. So I would say, hey, my class literally has my last name in it. Legendary
Yeah.
Marketer, not associated.
Yeah. Well, I think I also liked it. Well, I don't think Brambila Method was the first name we came up with. Because I remember being like, I remember telling you one of our conversations was like, you do affiliate marketing differently than every freaking person on this app. I was like, so we need to say like the differentiators that you have a different way of doing it. And I think that's where how we landed on the Brambila Method, which as a standalone course, again, I'm so glad you did. I was not going to put my name or promote anything wealth, legacy, empire. Like, because again, net impression, what are you going to do? I was like, it kind of puts you in that slimy like biz op world. So I was really glad that you were like, yeah, I'll teach you the Brambila Method. This is how I do my stuff.
Nice. Okay, second part. Then how did we connect? So I felt like you've always been like one of the good guys. Like you're always transparent, honest, diligent. White hat is the nerdy way that we marketers call it. And so there wasn't a lot of people like Dom. And I feel like I needed a partner for multiple reasons. I feel like one, I was living in the van, my Wi-Fi was spotty. So
Dude, it was bad.
two, like I feel like I never really created a successful program teaching. I like dabbled in it before. And so I don't know why, but I just felt like, what the funny thing about when you watch people's content, you just build trust. So like, even though we had never spoken on the phone, I had already trusted you because I've watched your content. And that's the same. That's why you follow creators and you feel like a lot of people who watch my stuff and your stuff, we probably never met in real life, but they trust us, because just based off our word and what we create. So I think that's what it was. Um, and you did great. We like took TikTok by storm. Like
Dude,
we were the viral thing. Like and then the campaign was the death of Legendary Marketer. Like
yeah, that was my first foray into controversy marketing and going against the grain and polarity. And I was like, all right, for the people watching, I didn't know that was going to be the campaign until my phone started blowing up with, what the fuck is Adrian doing? So what do you mean? Like, check his TikTok. And I go on. I was like, I guess I'm on this ride now. This is it. Train left the station. I'm gonna be a good business partner. Just ride with it. And yeah, dude, it was crazy. The amount of I've never experienced that kind of viral sensation when that happened, just going against the grain. And I think also we were saying a lot of what a lot of people were thinking too. Like it
Yeah.
had become a pyramid scheme. It had
We w-
become like just take this thing and turn around and promote it and just get the next person to turn around and promote it. And like it just went crazy.
right. I think there's a difference between like trolling and then calling out a bad guy. And that's what we did. Because trolling would be, we would just pick, let's just pick the trolling would be like this if this was our campaign strategy. Whoever's number one, let's just pick them and talk a bunch of crap on them. And that's how we'll get customers. But like I don't think that's a good strategy. Us was like, these guys are bad. First of all, they've already pissed me off, made a lot of money from my name and
Mm-hmm.
leverage. They encourage affiliates, and it created disassociation and negative association with my brand because people thinking that it was my program and your program sucks. They would do things like you pay for $7 and then they wouldn't release the rest of the content unless you had to go on a sales call. And the $7 is really just a trip to get to the 2,500. I had people who were on the inside of Legendary Marketers send me stuff and saying like stuff from the founders on how they treat people like numbers, like, and they don't really care. Like I have it in email. I've never posted this stuff, but in email, it's like gotta fucking sell these guys. Like every single person that's on $7, it can be converted. Like just like cutthroat stuff. Like they don't really care. So like I was happy to go to war with them and call them out. And they're so much bigger. Like, again, their program still to this day is way more successful in terms of customers and income than any course probably I'll ever create. I don't want to make most of my money from a program, but I do know this. After we called them out, and then the Death Legendary Marketer and on what's the guy's name?
Dave.
Dave. On like people that were part of Legendary Marketer were like we were bothering him a lot. Like he was talking about like the Death of Legendary Marketer, we're not going anywhere. And then
Yeah,
like
dude,
people
we
would
were in their head
we were in their
for
head living
sure.
rent
I think we
free.
still are.
Yeah, and then I would get clips of this, and it just made me laugh and stuff. But they changed. We help
Yes.
honestly. If you want to know why Legendary Marketer became a more honest program, you're looking at the two guys who made that happen. We called them out for all their shenanigans, their bad stuff, and and I know that their program is now better. It's more honest, but I think they were just a little bit too late, which is why they're in trouble.
Yeah, there was. I mean, it was crazy. I think it had something like 6,000 or 7,000 affiliates. So I know it gets wild. But all right, so kind of moving in that direction of kind of calling out what you see as an injustice in the world. I know you've written a couple of other books, some self-published titles. One of them I think you call what, the Affiliate War? Was that one?
The war
Am
of
I- The
affiliates.
War of Affiliates. Yes. So you've written other books, and we were kind of talking before the show. So tell me about your other books. So this is like the most Adrian strategy for writing books, because I
Well,
think yeah, explain why what those books were, why they were, and why they were created.
okay. Well, 2 years ago, Dr. Brad Klontz, the leading psychologist of wealth, a friend I also met through TikTok that we should not, by the way, he's like so accredited. He's like featured everywhere. He goes on the news, he talks about money. He's like, he works with
He's
like
official.
billionaires. He's official and goaded. This guy, we met through TikTok. And then 2 years ago, this is like, our content, even though he has like the data, he researches and studies millionaires, and I was like, I'm just like, I kind of just shoot from the hip and just share my life experience. He wanted to collaborate on a book, and so it took 2 years to write it, and then this is actually a real copy. I just got it yesterday of the book. It's called Start Thinking Rich, and honestly, it's it's amazing. It's going to change so many lives. So this was 2 years ago that this idea, we started working on this together, and now we have a book and we have a publisher is Wiley. It's going to be in all stores everywhere. Start Thinking Rich. So that to me was the first, what started this other ideas of like, well, right when I got this opportunity, I was like, that's awesome. Heck yes, I want to do it. But I have never sold a book before. So, and I was like, I didn't know if my audience even reads. I have no idea. So
We all just sit there scrolling 10 seconds at a time.
yes,
And we don't even
exactly.
read. What are words?
Exactly. So I as a test, I was like, I need to do like this is again like maybe 3 months after this idea came, where we were gonna start writing a serious book. Is we I basically was like, I'm gonna create like a niche book on affiliate marketing because that's what most people know me for, and then I'm going to like try to sell that, and that's gonna be my like test to see if my audience will buy a book, or and then will help give me like ideas on like what I need to do to improve my messaging for when this real book hits the fan. So in the time span of those 2 years, I launched 3 books. One of them is more of like a journal entry. It's called the $10 million plan. It's like how I plan on making 10 million in a year. The other one's the War of Affiliates. That was actually like a really AI driven book. So like I made that really quickly. And it's modeled off the art of war. And then I made a smart affiliate business, which is like all my journal entries. It's like a coffee book. So I made those 3 books and I sold, I think like 8,000 of them
Oh,
maybe. Yeah, combined all 3. And that was like my test of like, okay, like I feel like because in order to become a bestseller, you have to sell pretty much around that number.
is there a certain time period that you have to sell the 8,000 or 1,000 in?
In your opening week.
Wow. Okay.
So that was my test of like, could I do it? And then the fact that I did, it's like, okay, yep, I'm ready. I feel like I learned, and now we're like, this book launches in a couple weeks, and we're trying to do the same, except that this is like a real serious book that's going to change your life. And not that my other self-published books aren't, but they were more of like there was a marketing strategy behind it. Like this book is to make impact. Those books were like to make a test, see if I could do this.
Which I love about you is you are very calculated and you make small tests before going all in on something. Because I will
Awesome.
say when we started doing Facebook ads, right? You taught people Facebook ads inside of the Brambila method. You have your rule of 100, which is in polar opposite of somebody else that I like and enjoy your stuff, Julie Chanel. She says spend $1,000 in 3 days to give, no matter what, $1,000 in 3 days to give Facebook what they need to start optimizing and find the AI. And I was like, all right, so that's just it. If I want to run Facebook ads, it's $1,000. And then you were like, your eyes just got like the size of golf balls. As I was saying $1,000 in 3 days. You're like, spend what is it? Explain your rule of 100 when testing ads. Let's kind of get in
Dude,
your
first
tactical.
$1,000 in 3 days for a beginner. That's like one way to just go broke real quick. That's crazy advice. But so I have this theory. It's called like the 100 click theory, 100 click test. So it's the spend actually doesn't matter to me. There's a lot of different ways to do ads. I'm not saying whoever this person is that they're doing it wrong or whatever. It might work for her, but for me, I I I still hate. I mean, I will always hate losing money. I never want to lose money. So I'm looking at how do I spend the least amount of money to see if this idea is even worth it. Am I even close? I'm on the right direction. Because spending $1,000, like I never want to do that blindly, ever.
Even
Too much
now.
money. Even now, it doesn't matter how much money I make. I never want to just spend $1,000 blindly. It's like, all right, I need to just feed the beast of Facebook. No. Um, so my idea or this theory is that like how we think still to this day is like when I'm doing something new ad, I'm measuring based on 100 clicks to see if I have a conversion. Doesn't matter what the conversion is. Are you trying to sell something? Are you trying to get an email opt-in? Are you trying to get a DM? So, or appointment booked for a phone call. So
Mm-hmm.
if you do not get not even one conversion, 1% conversion on 100 clicks, then stop. Something's wrong. Because in my mind, every 100 clicks, you should at least get one. And one's the bare minimum. One's not good at all, to be honest, but it's just proof of concept. Because if you get a 100 qualified clicks and there's no traction, then something's wrong. It might be your ad, it might be your funnel, but you got to evaluate. Why spend more money and lose more money when we've had 100 opportunities and 100 people, none of them said yes.
Yeah, and I've done that a couple times now. I've been trying to test out, Facebook ads and stuff, and it's the rule of 100 has stuck with me. It's like, I always remember it as 100 clicks, do you get a lead, and 100 leads, do you get a sale? Has
Yes.
been like my kind of litmus test, I should say, in terms of that, which I think is also a good, again, a beginner strategy, but also a super risk averse strategy.
Mhm.
And then when you told me that you wrote the other books because you didn't want to put all the risk and go all in on Start Thinking Rich, so you knew you could do it, I was like, that is the most Adrian thing way that you could have launched a book. And I'll just say for people, because we've interacted, we actually play Fortnite together every now and then, and your whole risk averse is still prevalent even when we play Fortnite. Like I'm straight up Leroy Jenkins running at the other team with 14 HP, and you're like, bro, don't go rogue. Stop. Stay behind this hill. It's
That's
just
so funny.
everything. So I can say, though, I guess, is it safe to say people who read the book Start Thinking Rich are going to also have that a risk averse kind of test, put your toe in the water, and that's kind of more of the psychology and the strategies discussed in the book.
Yeah, so here's the crazy thing. Like as I've now with the fluence and influence of doing this for so many years, now I get to be in rooms with people that I looked up to, that I read their books, and oftentimes I'm left or walked away shocked with how these people who on the surface look so successful are just so bad with money. And so I just want to make this clear right now. I'm going to say some stuff. I'm not trying to shame anyone. I'm just trying to have awareness that it's okay. And awareness is the first step to trying to understand how you operate around money. But think of like this. You got a rich skill set, you have a wealth skill set. A rich skill set is essentially what entrepreneurs are trying to do. Their rich skill set is your ability to earn income. And we're always trying to test and research and pivot and try to keep increasing our income. And so a lot of people get famous for having super high incomes and documenting. I think that's what I did. But rich is not related to wealth. And this is what I keep getting surprised when I'm in these rooms, people who've sold their company for 30 million, people who make 50K a month. These people, uh, they're really good at having a rich skill set, but they have no wealth skill set. And the wealth skill set's made up of two things. One, your ability to save. In order to even get here, you have to manage and manage your desire. If you're a high income earner, on kind of living under your means. That's always an underutilized thing that most people don't do, is like living underneath your means. Now, there's a point if you're listening to this and you have zero income or super low income, so everything is really expensive and you can't survive, like you're waiting for rent. Of course, like you have to get beyond that so you can start saving. But most people, if you're listening to this, they actually do make enough money, but they're living in places they're a little nicer than it should be. They're driving cars that are a little nicer than they should be, and then they're just having a lot of unconscious spending with their money. And then wealth skill set is your ability to invest your money. So rich, your ability to earn. That's what entrepreneurs are. That's what we're all focused on. That's why we're listening here. Ways to make money. Wealth, first part, ability to save. Like this is like, should I go buy that new thing? No, probably not. I want to save my money. I got to make sure I'm like, are you waiting for your income, your payday? Like I never looked forward to payday because I never needed that money. I was always saving underneath my means. And then your ability to invest. This is what a super famous ClickFunnels person told me when I asked her, do you invest? She's like, by the way, this person's making 50K a month, by the way, has zero savings, $100,000 in debt. And I asked her, do you invest? And here's what she said. Yeah, I spent $60,000 on an NFT and I lost it all. So I was like, that, first of all, a couple things. One, that's what you consider investing? Dude, and this is why you can't shame someone for this, because this is sometimes your knee jerk
What we're
reaction.
taught.
How is someone that's so successful making $50,000 a month not even investing? And then when they think investing, they think of NFTs. Like that's gambling, right? And actually the proper terminology in investment, that's called speculative investing.
Yep.
So this is like, again, nothing wrong with it, but you got to make sure that's 10% or less of your net worth. So I educated her on like, dude, I'm not talking about like gambling. I'm talking about like, yo, the stock market, like setting up your own 401k because you're an employee and you have a team, like setting up your own Roth IRA, or like any type of investment, like investing into like an index fund or a target date fund. And that's what most people don't do. So it's like people, you can have a high income earner, you could save, but then when it comes to investing, you'd blow it all on NFT. So it's like you got to be good at all three of those things. And I this is like what we talk about in Start Thinking Rich, is like there's a right way that the rich think, like what real wealthy people, where like they're so risk adverse. Like when it comes to, like, they never want to lose money. So they're doing things and they're operating and thinking totally different when it comes to everything in terms of business and income and the money that they make. And that money is constantly compounding through their investments. And then the ultimate game is that you basically live off your investments. This is what the point I'm at today. And so anything my business makes is awesome, but I don't need my business to do well because all my cost of living is paid for by investments.
That's awesome. That's the way that I mean, Jan, you use the term financially retired. You
Yeah,
don't have to work. You work because you want to find purpose and you don't want to get bored. Because I'm sure there was a point where you were sitting on a beach most days and you're like, oh, I got to do something. Like it's just,
definitely.
what'd you say?
Definitely. I tried to sit on a beach and do nothing, like Costa Rica and Dominican Republic are some of my favorite places I was going to. And like either boredom or the runs are going to hit you. So like you're going to have to like come up with something. I have like totally chill. I think 10 days is the max I can do it, of just nothingness on the beach with reading. And then I'm like, dude, I'm sluggish. I've been overindulging. I need to do something. But retirement is, I hate that it's painted like that it's pina coladas on a beach. It's like retirement is something that I don't think I'll ever do in terms of the traditional definition, stop working, because I think the there's problems with that. Like actually I just think of my parents specifically, they struggle. This is weird. A great flex, weird flex. Like they did such a good job saving that now like they have money and now they can't spend their money. Be- because they still operate from a standpoint of survival. And they never really spent money. And now at this point, it's like they need to. Like I tell them, like, dude, do not leave me money. Do not leave it to me. If you leave me money, I'm gonna spend it on all and donate it to the opposing political party. Like, do not, do not leave me money. I say it as a joke, obviously, but like
Mm-hmm.
that's like they can't spend, and so it's like this is the problem with some of the people and like that are just sacrificing maybe a little bit too much. So go back to the beginning, work hard, sacrifice. If you're doing this so much that you can't enjoy your life, what makes you think that you hit this destination? Like one day I'm going to be a millionaire, and that's when I'm going to start living my life. That's when I'm going to live and have fun, dude. You're going to get there, and then you won't know how to have fun. You won't know how to live your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, solid words there. I want to go back though, real quick, to talking about investing, right? Because I think a lot of people, when they talk about investing, we had the one person who was talking about NFT as investing, where that's purely speculative. But then you've also got people who know that they're investing in the stock market, but investing and trading are
Mm,
two different things. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, because I know from being right, my background in college, I wanted to work on Wall Street, be in the stock market, financial sector. Graduated my degree is in economics, and I passed some of the FINRA series exams. And it's funny because I see people show like the Wolf of Wall Street, where they're selling a stock, and I think that that's investing. I'm
yeah.
like, that's not right. Investing is hands off, put money in, let it happen. It's not actively trying to beat the market. I think a lot of people will go and they invest outside of their expertise.
Mm,
Right. It's something Mark Cuban said on a couple of his podcasts, because he's been making the round when he sold the Dallas Mavericks. Right. He's like, invested in the team. Well, I think he bought the Dallas Mavericks to basically prove a point. Let me put my money where my mouth is. And if I can run a team better, maybe I can. Invested in tech, media, getting it out there, grew the Mavericks to, I think it was a $4 billion valuation or something, sold off his stake because the next investment to grow the team bigger is now in real estate. And he's like, I don't know shit about real estate. So
mm.
cash out, let somebody else to make the investment. So what can you say to people where can people invest in their expertise? Or if you don't have any expertise, just throw it in an index fund. Is that what you do? And just let time do its thing and just bet on the American economy as a whole?
Yes. Okay. There's a lot to unpack in that. I think
Sorry.
no,
I buried like four questions.
no, this is good. I think this is like the most valuable information on how to invest that is probably has the most myths on it. And also we want to clear things up. And I also don't want to shame anyone too, because it's unfortunate that we don't get to learn about like what is a good investment or not. So that's why the default is like I talk to grown ass men, adults, people in their 50s, 60s, and like they think that like investing is day trading and picking a stock and like talking about Tesla or whatever stock's happening. And like it's sad to say, but that is not right. It's not right. Like you're gonna lose your money. And here's a true fact. 95% of professional day traders over a 30-year run have a negative return over 30 years. So when we're in a bull market, which is when the market is generally trending up, which right now the stock market is at all-time high. So if you're trading right now when the market's going up, of course you're going to feel like a hot shot. Like, dude, everything I touch turns into gold, man. I'm the
Everybody
best.
who started April of 2020.
Yeah.
Every day trader on TikTok.
And then a crash is gonna come, then a sector is gonna get ruined. Like then you're gonna realize how much your ego has costed you. And so, okay, you mentioned two things like how can people invest in their expertise? I actually don't like this question, especially when I
Okay.
just think about myself because I'm not an expert in a lot of things. So if I only am investing in my expertise, I'm really narrowing my opportunity where like I'm missing out on what I should be investing in. And you also mentioned like an index fund, an ETF, the S&P 500, that covers like the top 500 companies in the US,
Mm-hmm.
the top ones. So I don't know. I couldn't name more than three companies in that. I could probably guess. Apple, probably MasterCard, and then
Coca-Cola, I think, is one of them. There's also,
Coca-Cola.
yeah, all
Right.
the big blue chip companies that we've all know and love.
But here's the thing. I don't need to know all them because I'm not trading. And when I
Mhm.
put money in now, I don't care if the market goes down the next day because I'm not going to withdraw. That money is for later. That money is for 30 years from now. And if you go and look at the 2008 stock market crash, and if you would have invested the month beforehand and then saw that
Yes.
huge dip, like your investment would have cut in like half, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you would have been like, oh my God, I just made the worst decision of my life. But here we are, 2024, and that investment would have been the best investment you ever made, even if it was a month
Even
before.
September '08 or August of '08, it would have been the
Yeah,
best investment.
it would have
Yeah.
been the best investment. So that's when you think of like, and this is so hard for us to do because thinking and saving for the future, this is not normal behavior. Like we talk about this in Start Thinking Rich. This is a lot of Dr. Brad Clunt's research, my co-author in the book, where he like has studied like our tribal nature. And so like think of us like as humans thousands and thousands of years ago, cavemen, cave women, and we basically only could operate on what we need and what we could carry. So the
Mhm.
idea of like planning ahead and thinking ahead, we actually couldn't do it. It's like because we had to move a lot, we had to go forage for food, and then in case we were being attacked, we'd have to move our entire home and travel and run away. So like saving for the future, what the heck is that? That's not in our biology. So this is why it's so hard to think about it, and this is why we also get so emotional when we do invest, and then you pull up a stock market. Oh my gosh, it's so down today. I need to withdraw it. That's the like one of the worst things you can do.
Why?
The idea
Yeah.
that you can time the market on when it's low, like buy low, sell high, right? It's that easy. No one does
Hmm.
that. No one does that. So this is like I think, and day trading education, those programs, man, that's the worst of the worst. They would never share their stats on how their students are doing. That's an industry that's being really attacked right now by the FTC.
Hmm.
And as it should be, like people see like people are losing a lot of their money in day trading. So again, not against it. Just make sure it's no more than 10% of your entire net worth, and
It's
then
like
and
play money.
then that's your play money.
Got it. Okay. But also, I mean, we're going into the expertise. If you're not an expert, a lot of things you threw it in the market in the S&P because you're like, I don't know shit about selling soda. So, but I'm gonna invest in Coke because Coke's a blue chip. I'm exposed to other stuff. It'll lack, it'll make up for your lack of expertise by buying a fund with 500 companies in it. You're kind of spreading the risk around because again, zooming out, like I said, the '08 to now would have been your best investment. Zooming out will make pretty much everything will always go up. In fact, the Fed tries to make sure that everything goes up at 2% a year as their target inflation. Now, I know recently some inflationary global pandemic effed up that number, but over 30 years, it's typically around everything's going to go up a little bit versus money will not. Cash under a mattress does not increase in value. It loses.
It does. It does. I think if you are looking for, maybe you're at the point, it's like, okay, I hear what you guys are saying, and I do want to invest, but I don't know what investments to pick. Don't listen to anyone. Go to Vanguard.
StartThinkingRich.com. No.
Go to Vanguard, go to Acorns, go to Charles Schwab, or wherever you go to, and each one of those websites will have like it's like a personality quiz for investments, which kind of states like your goals, your income, when you'd like to retire, how much money you need. These are all important questions you have to think about, and it's going to come up and tell you exactly the like kind of build a portfolio that's custom to you. So that's the thing. Like when I hear like specific stocks or investments you should make, it's never a good idea because you're making an assumption that your goals and my goals are the same, and most of the time they're not. Like what we need in retirement, everyone's numbers are different. So take like because you don't know, don't let that stop you. Like you just have to fill out like a personality quiz about investments and your goals, and pretty much every investment brokerage website has them now today.
Okay. And on that note, I think that's, again, keep investing investing is a personal decision to you. And I think right there, real quick closing thoughts. Where can we go Start Thinking Rich? Where's the best way to go get it? Is it
awesome? So Start Thinking Rich is available where all books are available. And if you want to grab it there, that'd be super awesome. Of course, in true affiliate fashion, you can go to startthinkingrich.com/Dom. And that actually has extra bonuses, tools, resources that are not included in the book. And then we also do have, I've teamed up with Dr. Brett Kluntz. We're creating our first like financial literacy education workshops. And there's a lot of great opportunities if you, and by the way, when you go there, a lot of that stuff is free. And then there is some paid stuff if you do want to work with us or work with Brad closer. But yeah, that's, I would say you should go there, especially that's one way we can say thanks for having me on.
No problem. Again, don't give Bezos your money. Give it directly to Adrian. But yeah, so Adrian, thanks for popping on, and we will we'll talk to you soon, man. I'm sure I'll have you on again on another episode.
That sounds
We'll do a
good.
follow up. All right. All right, everybody. I will see you in the next episode.